Welcome, everyone. We'll get started in just a few minutes as we allow attendees to roll in. We're excited to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Happy to see more people joining. We'll have a great discussion today. See the thumbs up. I love it. Send us all your favorite emojis. Yes, Pablo, I see your question. Will you share a link of the recording after today? Yes, we absolutely will. I'll cover some other housekeeping items before we kick off. I think we'll give it one more minute, Falk, and then we'll get going. I'm excited. We have so much great content to cover and things to discuss. So I want to dive in here soon. Okay, Falk, you ready? Okay. Wonderful. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Nicole DiNicola, and I lead the marketing organization at Smartcat. And we have a great session today titled AI Agents in the Future of Work. I know AI and agents, it's a big buzz right now, and we're excited to show you what that future could really look like and what it could mean for your teams. And today, who's leading our session, we have Falk Gottlob. And if you haven't met him before, our Chief Product Officer, you're in for a treat. He has led, product teams and innovation strategies at companies like Adobe and Salesforce and Microsoft. And we feel incredibly lucky and thankful to have him here at Smartcat as well, leading the way and continuing that innovative mindset here. Couple of quick housekeeping items. We will be sharing the recording and the slides after today's session, so you don't have to worry about taking vigorous notes or taking any screenshots. Those will all be available to you. Please use the Q&A function throughout the webinar. Submit your questions. Thank you to those of you who submitted them even before the webinar, so we've got a good starting point. But as ideas and thoughts come up, please feel free to share them because there'll be plenty of time at the end to answer those questions. And then, of course, if you need more information about Smartcat and all of our upcoming events, you can always visit us at smartcat.com/events to see what else is going on and to learn more there as well. So with that, I will hand it over to Falk.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you all. And we're a truly global team, so you can hear and listen to me with my German accent from San Francisco this morning. What I want to talk to you about today is what we are up to, what's coming next for Smartcat, what it means for you, how you can take full advantage of it. But it should also be informative when talking to other organizations about AI agents and all this kind of stuff. We at Smartcat started in the translation, globalization, localization space, and the world is evolving because of AI, and so are we. And what I want to show you today is really what is coming next for us. What are we launching later this quarter in Q3 and beyond to get you to a place where you can truly stay competitive, close to your customers, not just in one locale, in one language, but everywhere automatically. So I'm super excited to be speaking about what's coming next here today. But let me actually start here. And to be very frank, I'm creating content tools, I'm creating platforms, as Nicole mentioned, for very large companies. So you probably use some of my either email marketing tools or other content tools in the past. And to be honest, looking back now at my 30-year career, I probably created some of these tools that are failing you today, that probably help you get your job done, either create a learning course or create a marketing campaign. But ultimately, these tools are by now probably failing you, and you don't get the productivity out of them that you would like. And to be honest, when I now observe what companies do when they take their legacy technology and bolt on some AI add-ons that help you create better content faster, they're still failing you. They're still not living up to their full potential. And we strongly believe we must do better and you deserve better in this mix. And let's bring it back to why we're doing what we're doing to begin with, right? While we creating the software we create for you is because you deserve exceptional software at extremely high quality. Your employees, your customers expect the same from you. That's why we're here. That's why we're constantly evolving and evaluating technology, and we're in this together. Before I start, I know your time is valuable. I know you have many places to be right now, probably. So thank you, first of all, for spending time with me. I don't think we're saying thank you enough. So thank you for that. But also thank you for trusting us as a customer or evaluating our technology here. So, but let's jump in. Reality is, if you probably experienced this already. AI is not going anywhere, right? Clearly, everyone is investing it. Your executives, your leadership team probably ask you to do more with less already because of AI. AI agents also are not going away. They are not just a buzzword at the moment, but the majority of CEOs out there believe strongly that AI will reshape their business, right? How you do stuff, how you execute, how you engage with your customers. And some CEOs like Mark Benioff from Salesforce goes even a step further, claiming that this is probably the last round of CEOs that truly only manages a human workforce, right? Clearly, there's something happening here in that space, and we probably should pay attention to it. So, but let's have a quick look what is actually happening, what is coming next. We all have been there, right? Predictive AI started 10, 15 years ago, giving us better analytics, better insights, better customization, personalization, probably in most of the tools. Gen AI was then a true game changer, right? ChatGPT and other platforms provided you better tools, helper, co-pilots, embedded in your product, ultimately still creating better experiences for you. They're still a tool. You have to do the work. You have to go from one place and copy it to another, right? These tools are still not really connected as they could be. And that's where AI agents come in. At this point, in the first wave of these agents, they are simple tasks that can be automated, right? Pick it up here, put it there, right? Do some research, alert me. Kind of easy functionality that doesn't require autonomy yet, right? Or creativity or any of that kind of stuff, but that is fast evolving, right? These agents, while we like speak, are evolving to handle more complex workflows, right? Um, Automatically pick something up, verifying, converting, and then pushing it to a different place and giving you a dashboard so that you see what's happening, you're in control. And that is really where all of this is moving, but it of course doesn't stop there, right? And that's what CEOs like Mark Benioff really mean when they say these agents will become true digital teammates, where when we manage a team, the team in the future probably looks like that there's like 2, 3 humans and 1,000 agents doing work at an extreme scale, providing us this productivity gain to stay competitive. It's not anymore becoming 2, 3 times more productive. The name of the game in the future is really this thousand, if not higher productivity, where you can scale a lot of these things, right? Where these humans and AI truly work together, right, in the service of our customer. And of course, we have seen it in the past, right? When you look back, like almost 50% of Fortune 500 companies have disappeared because they did not embrace change. Think about the blockbusters of the world, right? They truly were left behind just because they did not embrace the change, right? And our goal here, together with you, for you, is that you are not one of these companies, right? We want to give you these tools. So, but let's have a look at what that actually means for the human in this mix. We said like these digital teams, human agents, right, have to evolve together. But reality is it becomes increasingly more difficult to keep your team up to speed, up to date on everything that is evolving. Software is evolving much, much faster, right? What you can do with software is evolving much, much faster. There are new technologies popping up that we've never heard before that are truly now enabling these humans to do things, right? And it requires all of us to work together to get them up to speed. These humans like cannot be left behind. We need to invest in them, right? Um, Now let's look at these agents out there. They are not like learning by themselves either. Reality is that these agents currently, when you look across all the technology that you're using, is not learning from you, your best employees in the organization. They're learning from historical work. They're learning from CRM data or old content, right? Or you send them to your website and say like, hey, figure out what my voice of tone is. That's not learning from you, and that becomes a real problem for these agents, right? And reality is, unless we start embracing AI and start upskilling our workforce now, right, we're already falling behind, right? Reality is we're probably left behind. So the sad part is, as always with change, when we realize it, it's probably too late to catch up to the ones that embrace it early. So now let's have a look. What is it that actually needs to change? What is not working today that across your teams, right? And I know we have a big variety of teams here, from learning and development to marketing to sales and so on the call. So I try to make it inclusive to all of you. But what really has to change here is we need to find a way to speed up the execution of humans, the enablement, the content creation, right, between human and AI agents. They need to work together hand in hand in a way where they literally work at the same level, right? Or one of these two will be left behind or not, creating the right uh, outcome that you expect. So ultimately, you need to increase the performance of that content as well, right? Content cannot be stale anymore in this new changing world. From learning content to marketing content to website updates, it need to be automated, right? And here's the important part. You need to monitor and improve these skills, that content, while you're actually doing the work. It's not good enough anymore to just create it, put it out there, and hope it performs, right? And you all probably have a bunch of analytics dashboards that you need to look at again and again, right? To figure out what works, what doesn't, right? The SEO game is changing every day at the moment, right? Learning is evolving very fast, and you need to make sure that everything is really up to speed. So let's bring it back to how we can actually do that. And that's where Smartcat comes in. As I mentioned earlier, we started in the translation, globalization, personalization, localization space. That is all about language, right? That is how we evolve. That's how we learn. Experts and agents need to have a common language in which they communicate. And we also all know that we learn best while we're doing the work. It is great that you have onboarding and other trainings. we all learn once we're actually onboarded, once we're part of a team and we work together. Um, while we're creating this global learning content, marketing content, product manuals, technical documentation, and. While we provide each other that feedback, while creating this content, that's how we evolve. And that is true for everyone on your team. And it has to become true for these agents on your team. If the agents are not part of it, if they don't learn from you while working with you, they're not learning, they're not evolving at the pace you need them to. Ultimately, we need to develop these expert skills in order to create the best possible content. And that's where our global content platform comes in. At the foundation, we took this institutional knowledge graph that most companies have to the next level. We invented something what we call the skill graph, where we detect and evolve all these skills that your experts have and makes them available, not just for AI, but also for you to now create better content. So, and as I mentioned earlier, that skill graph will evolve when you have the experts and these agents actually work together through these agentic workflows, right? When they provide each other feedback and communicate, that's how knowledge is created, skills are developed. And it has to happen from marketing to HR to R&D to sales, right? Support all the way to your customer material. Imagine a world where your product team, while developing a product, creates a material, talks about what the impact of that product will be, what the intent of the product will be, who you want to actually sell this product to. And the marketing team, when they start creating their content, already have that knowledge available and they can say, now create that marketing content for that very specific product. How powerful is that, right? And that's where our workflow comes in, our enterprise skill graph comes in. And here's where we start creating this productivity, 100, 1000x, right? Ultimately delivering you unlimited experts. And that is really the goal, right? Right now, you can only scale like one hire at a time. That will not cut it anymore in the future. You need more expertise through agents. When this becomes reality, you increase your speed and performance, and that is really the goal here. But now let's have a look what that actually looks like, how that works, and how you can take advantage of that. At the foundation is this skill graph, and it starts with your expertise. How can I extract your expertise to get it into the skill graph? While your teams are working, your product team, marketing team, sales, right, all the way down to the legal team, we want to learn from it. While you do the work, you either import the content into our tool and then you translate it and we extract knowledge from that, or you have a conversation in Slack, in Zoom, right? That's all knowledge that we want to capture, that we want to put in the skill graph, and we want to evolve it over time. Skill development is not a one-time thing. It, your company is evolving, your industry is evolving, and there need to be this continuous learning loop. Your marketing message is evolving, and with that, your onboarding needs to evolve. Your sales enablement needs to evolve. These skills have to be built. There needs to be feedback coming into the system so that it can all upskill. So of course, what's important here is skills without continuous training and monitoring is not really what you need. It's not evolving, right? And that's where the next layer of our platform comes in, where expert and agents work together. They create content, they edit content, they localize it, they explain what needs to change, they collaborate, communicate, and chat about this content, and you get feedback from your customers. That's what we call while doing work, right? And and then validate that these skills, that content is still valid. Something has changed. How do you make sure that it actually updates automatically? You have a new CEO starting. How do you make sure that it's updated across all your sales material, marketing material, onboarding material like this, right? That is really the goal here. And through that, you create this unlimited expertise and scale the productivity. So One thing you might not know about Smartcat, and this is where we're rapidly evolving into, you will see major part of that showing up later this quarter and next quarter here. Smartcat does more than translation, as I mentioned earlier. We create content, marketing content, learning content, right, automatically for you with AI. We then instantaneously globalize that content. So that is also true if you import content into our product, right? At that point, we can then globalize it to any language out there, to any country's needs here as well. We manage the delivery. We are not just relying on you to upload a document and then you take it and put it somewhere else. We go where the content is created, either in our platform or in other tools like Figma or Articulate. Right? It doesn't matter, in Adobe Experience Manager or Salesforce or any other tool, and we get it from there and we push it back from there if you want us to, right? Here's now the nice thing, it evolves over time. So we can now evolve that content with you based on that feedback, based on changes, based on things that happen in the industry or your company, right? And then we update and repurpose the content. That also means we are not just transforming your old content and keeping it up to date, but that knowledge goes straight back into this circle, into this like cycle of innovation, essentially, right? When you create new content, it is right there again with you. So what does it do for you, right? When you think about the old way, and I've went to my CEO many times and say like, I need more people, right? It takes way too long to localize the stuff and speak to your global audience. Uh, Often it takes way too much time to create new content, right? And then, of course, once it's created, it's probably outdated, right? It's not a thing anymore. Micro-learning on demand, instant globalized content, create and update content continuously, and it needs to evolve with your business. That is super critical. And when it comes to AI, I think we need to be all very realistic, right? As with every change that is happening, and you have seen this for marketing, your marketing maturity model, or your employee scale models, and so that you have, we need to be very realistic. Where are we in the AI adoption, right? What is our maturity model? And reality is most organizations are here at a level two developing, watching, adopting some pieces here and there. And our goal is to work with you to get you to level five over the next year, two, right? Whatever your comfort zone is here in this case. So what does it give you? When you think about day one here, working with Smartcat, we work with you slowly. We onboard you, right? We start optimizing processes at your scale, providing you the scale, efficiency, cost saving. But ultimately, over time, with the more agents you build, with more agents you adopt, with more data going to the skill graph, like we provide you more revenue per full-time employees, and that is how we stay competitive. That's also what our executives mean when they say do more with less. What they're saying is we need to generate more money per employee, right? And then ultimately creating this productivity gain. Now let's have a real look what that actually means. And I want to give you two scenarios. Let's look at our go-to-market strategy here. You probably have met a Sarah in your career, right? Sarah is the director of content marketing. She works for a company, Links Global Services. She works for 7 years there. She's a true expert, right? She has seen it all here. But when she goes home, she loves to travel. She loves to scuba dive, meaning she does not want to spend the nights and weekends creating content, right? You probably can relate to this. So here's how Sarah is measured. Is she increasing awareness and market authority for their brand, right? Is she creating a predictable pipeline? Is she increasing the win rate and ACV AR for the company, right? And Sarah's job today is pretty straightforward, right? Regular rollouts, new messaging, companies evolving, new products. She needs to support teams in 22 different countries. It's a lot of work to just manage like that content rollout across all these different locales, right? Uh, and of course, she cannot speak every language here, right? She needs to also content creation for these different languages. And like once, two, three times a year, she needs to audit the entire website and everything that goes in it. Here's a big problem. It's not working anymore, right? And you probably can all relate to this. More with less is the new name of the game, right? She's always asked to do more with less. Speed it up. Why is this not done, right? She um, um, and ultimately she needs to create better content in every locale much faster at this point, right? And it's not cutting it anymore. So here are our options. She can hire more people, but as we said earlier, more is less, right? Not an option. Usually our budgets are cut. You can find an agency, but that doesn't follow the do more with less kind of model, right? Or she can find better software. And that's usually what we all do. We constantly look for this new software that pops up that gives us the latest edge, right? And reality is, Sarah does not need another tool, not another hammer that she can use to do the work manually, right? That's not cutting it anymore. That means she would have to keep the skills up and going. She still needs to do the work. Sure, they create different, increase the productivity by a little bit, but ultimately it's not cutting anymore. Sarah needs software that actually does the work for her, right? It's not anymore the tool that she needs. They don't do anything on their own. She needs software that actually leans in and helps her quite a bit. That's where, of course, our platform comes in. And when you look there at the right side, she needs these agents that are purpose built for her. Agents that truly lean into her ecosystem of technology and pick up content from there, you work with the content and put it back. That's how Sarah can actually do more with less. So now let's have a look how that actually looks like in reality. Again, I showed it to you earlier. Import all the content and then learn and evolve while doing the work, right? The content exists. Let's just connect any kind of DAM or Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever it is where the content lives today, right? And from there, we will automatically build these skills. We will automatically learn and improve really our glossaries and whatever it is here, right? Automatically. And from that moment on, it needs to evolve. It needs to evolve with her team, the company, right? And here, what that looks like is validating of work. It needs to be up to date everywhere at the same time globally. Every second when you lack the rollout for one country, you're not making money in that country, right? Therefore, it needs to be localized automatically. And you need to measure the conversion. That's how you know that the content is performing and it needs to update. So you need to integrate into these systems where you actually measure the performance of the content, right? Otherwise, I don't know how good the content is. And through that, we then accelerate the pipeline growth in this mix, right? So the key is content needs to auto update. It needs to be performing well. It needs to automatically localize to all the countries you serve, right? And you need to measure the performance to then like feed back into this endless cycle of skill development in our platform, right? Through that, she can truly make a dent here and create more awareness and increase the pipeline and the win rate on top here, right? Super critical. Here's a new space for us, right? And it's an interesting one because the verification is very different. So you probably met a Steve, right? Steve works in sales enablement, Foxconn Pharmaceuticals, super large company, 50,000, 70,000 people globally, right? He's there for 19 years. True expert. He knows what he's doing. He knows the product. He knows the customer. He knows the industry in and out more than anyone else, right? Again, same as Sarah, he doesn't want to spend weekends create content, right? He likes to hike, play golf. He likes to spend time with his grandchildren, right? Work is something that should enable him to do all this stuff. He's measured, very simple, reduce seller ramp-up time. How fast can you get people up to speed, right? On my latest changes, my latest products, or when they start in the company, right? His goal is to improve sales performance. What does he have to do in order to get every seller in your organization up to speed as fast as he can, have them perform at the highest level as they can, and like improve their performance if something goes wrong here, right? But he also needs to maintain compliance standards, right? From messaging within a regulated industry, right? Things need to just make sense, or the buyer will not trust them, right? So that's important here as well. So his day, again, pretty straightforward. He needs to support 20,000 sellers across the world, many languages, right? Um, the training is highly technical. They have like pharmaceutical, right? A very specific product, like very in-depth knowledge required, right? And so on. The pace of innovation is speeding up. The regulatory requirements are speeding up. He needs to stay up to date. And it's not working anymore. Same as in most other industries, it becomes harder, right? Especially this year, most organizations saw like a rapid decrease in win rates across different companies, right? Um, it becomes harder to validate. He doesn't have the time to listen to every sales call, to dig in and figure out what works or what doesn't, right? And reality is that like most of these enablement teams like lost a few headcounts here and there over the last 6 months, 12 months. So he is completely overwhelmed, right? He is stressed and it's not working anymore. Hire more people, not an option. Hire consultants, again, not an option, right? Find better software. Let's have a look what that would look like. So all the course creation tools that are out there, they're cumbersome. They're hard to keep up, right? To date, sure, creating the content for the first time is okay, but then keeping up to date is difficult, right? And you in marketing and enablement have and learning and development probably work together, like the feedback loop again, back and forth, change this, right? It takes time and we can do better, right? Legacy enablement platforms can keep up. I'm meeting with customers every week that tell me that they have thousands of courses laying around and they don't know what the status of them. Their teams are taking these courses and they don't know where it's at the moment. We need to do better, right? So reality is also that everyone, as I mentioned earlier, adds these AI add-ons to it, but they're completely disconnected. They are not working at the same level. They're not working hand in hand together, and that's just not okay anymore. And we need to do better. But at the end, here's what really is hurting most organizations, right? This monitoring that the team is actually doing the work. Are they actually doing what they're supposed to do? Are they talking about my products the way they're supposed to talk about them? Are they following the right steps in the sales process, the right questions, the right validation? We need to figure out if they're actually doing the work or we need to change the content, right? And here again, if he wants to now adopt all these like tools, silo tools that could get him there, he's still not winning, right? He doesn't have the time. So he also needs software that actually does work for him. It's not good enough anymore. And of course, here is where our platform comes in that works hand in hand with Steven, right? That gives him these enablement agents that are purpose built for the content he needs to create, maintain, and so on, right? And that is here the key, that he's able to start building these. And I mentioned it a few times. We will launch that later this quarter. We will build on it next quarter. Stephen will be able to build these agents in our platform and automate these tasks. And that is like what we need to get to. So how does it actually work now for Steve? Sure, it starts here at the same point, right? There's content there. We need to work with across these teams. We need to localize content. We need to create content, right? The feedback loop is still very similar, right? Feedback, correction of skills and behavior, right? But here is how he needs to learn from where work is done. He needs to listen to the Zoom calls, Gong calls in Salesforce, in Gmail, in HubSpot, wherever the work of the sellers are done. He needs to learn from it. That is his feedback loop, right? That's what has to come back into this platform so that he can really create the scale and productivity gain that we need here, right? For him, it starts with onboarding. That needs to be automated. The continuous enablement, right, needs to improve throughout our platform all the way down to the deal support. Now he's not just a cost center updating the sales team anymore. He can become a true asset. He can now actually actively in real time influence where we go with these deals, right? And provide coaching and these kind of things in more near real time. That's how he can evolve his career and change his game. Ultimately, seller uptime faster, sales performance up, and of course he maintains the compliance, right? Everything is up to date here, and um, he can go home, play with his grandchildren, play golf, and so on. So we're doing this today. This is not like me telling you things that don't exist. Takes Smith and nephew, right? Where we really create this impact today, right? Where we are already doing this work. 70% workload reduction, right? 4 times faster translation turnaround time, right? 15 to 20 online learning courses created per quarter. That's only possible because of AI. That's only possible because of agents, essentially. So we're doing that with roughly 20% of the Fortune 500 companies out there, right? These are names you probably have heard in this case. Don't believe me that we're creating software that works exceptional, right? You, our users, tell us that every day, right? When you look at our rankings and ratings, clearly it works. So that was my talk. I will now switch over to answer your question. Follow me on LinkedIn. I regularly post about the things that are happening, why they're happening, give deeper insights into why we're doing what we're doing and what you can do because of it. And of course, you've seen our website. Come and visit there. And I cannot see the chat, so if someone can help me with the
Yeah,
questions,
I've got you,
gladly.
Paul. Don't worry. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Yeah, so we do have some questions that are in there, and if you think of any more along the way, keep piling them in, and we'll get to as many as we can. Um, but first, we got an interesting question specifically about multi-language websites. Falk, could you talk a little bit about how you optimize like the translation management and workflows for multi national enterprises who have so many websites they have to manage and the content on them?
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about how this works today, you create the content in English for your American audience, let's say, right? And now everyone here has access to the right data immediately. That's great. But then you have a localization manager that needs to find someone with the expertise to translate and do all this stuff. It's not cutting it anymore, right? Like the way how it works for us is we integrate deeply with where your website is managed. Right? It could be a Contentful, it could be an Adobe Experience Manager, you name it. If you have a technology that we haven't integrated with, come to us. We integrate for you with that technology to monitor the change of content on that website, right? We pick it up from there. We automatically translate it. You can create your workflow with verification and certification, right? Keep in mind, we have a marketplace with more than 500,000 people on it. true experts in every language, in every field that you can rely on to verify the translation, that it truly works for the French market in the legal field, let's say, right? And from there, once it is verified, once you accept it, once all the feedback is incorporated, we push it straight back out to your website. You, of course, are in the loop. You can publish it. We can publish it for you, whatever you want it to be. That is truly how we can do it. In the future, right, and that's where we're working towards, I envision quite the different story here, right? When it comes to agent, what I envision here happen in the next probably like year or two is that you come in our platform and you explain to us what you want. You define your goal. I want to launch this product, right, to all these countries, and then we generate the content for you in English, in French, in German, in Japanese, in Korean, right there, so that you don't actually have to jump anymore from English first and now let's go and translate. That is really where we're going. You define what you want, we create the content for you and publish it then once you feel comfortable with it, once you have verified it and you approve the content. That's how you can truly create content that resonates with that person in that locale, right? At a very extremely fast speed. And that's why we're building these agents.
Yes, yes, great. So I have one that wants to dive, one question that wants to dive into AI within our platform a little bit more. They say, typically what we see is kind of like a wrapper on, a chat GPT or one kind of model. Can you talk a little bit about how, Smartcat uses different types of AI within our platform for different purposes?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for that question. And it would be lovely if we just need to create a wrapper around ChatGPT. That would make life very, very easy. Reality is there are so many different large language models out there, and they all evolve at a very different pace, right? And like this week, ChatGPT is better at a specific thing. Next week, Google. Next week, some other model, right? So first, we have a monitoring system in place that checks the quality of each of these different models on an ongoing basis, and then it automatically adjusts so that you get the best quality out of all of them, right? Because as I mentioned, it is evolving. Reality is also that there are many things that we do in our platform. Let's say localize a video, images, extract PDF content, right, and bring it back in the same format. These models don't do that like really well often, right? And we still need to develop our own models. So we have a good amount of our own models that work hand in hand with these large language models, right? Work together. The next piece is, if it's just a wrapper, that would be nice. Reality is, these large language models don't know anything about what you want to do in the future. They understand what you have done in the past really, really well. They go to your website, they scan it, now they know what you have done. But we're evolving as an organization, right? We create new products and new product names. The strategy is changing, right? Our go-to-market motion is changing. Our onboarding is changing. They don't know anything about it. That's why we built a skill graph. That is essentially like our own version of an internal large language model that is purpose-built for you based on what you do next, right? And we mix this up in a way that, of course, we're not sharing your insights with these large language models so they can learn, right? We make them work for you hand in hand together to create the highest quality content. So we actually have quite a big data science and an AI team working on overall quality and AI translation, content generation, right? To really provide best of class content. Otherwise, you could just go to ChatGPT and use them, right? That just doesn't give you the security need, the data privacy need, but also not the quality.
Wonderful, thanks. And that brings us right to time. So thank you so much, Falk, for sharing this deep dive on everything AI agents and the future of work. Thank you all for attending. Again, these slides and this recording will be sent out to you, so you're welcome to rewatch or share with your friends and your colleagues. And then for everything for the future of Smartcat, please go visit our website. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
And one last thing is like follow us on Smartcat. You will see a lot of change happening this quarter, next quarter. Follow me if you want to learn more about like why and the like details behind. Please engage me, right? Like I will answer any more question if there are more. So I had a fun time. I hope like I could add some value here for you as well. And thanks again for your valuable time that you spent with us.